throwing him out of the game.
We all want to be the top of the game. Lots of athletes are naturally gifted at what they do, while others are caught red-handed cheating their ways trying to win first place. Getting fined millions of dollars while also being humiliated in front of a huge crowd doesn't really seem to be worth it after all. Here are 10 athletes who got caught cheating. Number 10. This one is pretty obvious. Don't know why anyone would do this when everyone's watching. Apparently, this guy was caught cheating, damaging the penalty spot area after his teammate digging up the dirt, making the spot field uneven, so the opposite team kicking the ball would make him trip and miss the goal.
Well, just watch what Hitz is doing here. He's just trying to kick up the ground a little bit by that penalty spot. Great game we have on now, but I'm sure this will be a talking point. And that's something that Rissa is pointing out to the referee for goals of late. He hasn't scored in 2 months of Bundesliga football, and it may well have been a factor.
Number 9. Here is Paul Millsap. This guy isn't really the victim here, but the last guy who touched the ball is. Someone had used stick gum, which is a sticky substance used for a better grip for handling the ball. Dwight Howard was the guy in the game who had used it. He even admitted of using the substance on Twitter. Number 8. This one is one huge horrible fraud. You never know what's happening until you find the ugly truth behind some people's intentions. Here's Louis Resto boxing against Billy Collins. You're probably thinking it's just another match. After Louis Resto had won, he went to the corner of Billy Collins. He touched the gloves of Resto and found out he had no padding in the gloves. Louis Resto and his trainer served 3.5 years in prison and were both suspended.
Cut, I don't know what.
They're both top fighters.
Even thought that there might have been something wrong with the gloves until the very end of the fight. Otherwise, he would have pointed it out. It was at the end of the fight, when Resto went over to congratulate him, that he grabbed onto the gloves and held on. And he started screaming for the inspectors, these gloves, these gloves.
You can't hold it, Commissioner. All the pens on him damn gloves. All the pens on him goddamn gloves.
Two had R on it and two had C on it. I observed a hole in the left and right glove that was marked R. Any layman could tell that the glove was tampered with.
Number 7. Have you ever heard of soccer diving? You'll know about it here. Here's this guy cheating his injury to give an impression a foul has been committed. It's really common in soccer as to many others do it to get their ways. Number 6. Rosie Ruiz was one of the most talked about in 1980. She was known for cheating the marathon. She crossed the finish line without showing any signs of fatigue after a 2 hours and 30-minute run. So people were very suspicious. Later on, they determined she had taken the subway for a shortcut, but was never jailed or charged because they never knew how she did it.
No one is sure how she did it, but this unknown runner came out of nowhere ahead of all the other women.
I just saw someone stumble out of the crowd in front of me across the street. This was on Commonwealth Ave, probably about a half mile from the finish.
What nobody knew yet was that 6 months before, Rosie allegedly took a subway to the finish line of the New York Marathon. So this was actually her second ruse, and she almost pulled it off. Her big mistake was coming in first. The media rushed to her side, but soon it became apparent that she was a not-so-great imposter.
But she was way ahead of a world-class field here today in the Boston Marathon. Thank you, Rose. Thank you. Number 5. There's just something about this sticky substance that all athletes seem to be obsessed about. Here is Brian Matthews, who was caught using the same sticky substance on his arm. Apparently, it is against the rules to be using anything else besides your natural skills. He was then suspended shortly after.
Oh boy. Is he calling out his substance on Brian Matthews' arm? like we saw Will Smith thrown out. Buck Showalter comes to see. Brian Mattis becomes the second big league pitcher this week to get thrown out of a game for a foreign substance on his arm.
Number 4. Cheaters are always very clever finding their ways, but they're not so clever when they get caught. This baseball player, Joey Necro, was caught using sandpaper to scuff his baseball for a better grip. They told him to empty his pockets. He then attempted to throw it out far so they don't see it. The simple mistake ended his whole 22 years of his career.
And Tom Kelly's really getting into it.
Yeah, checking him all over. I've never seen him do a search like this. Quite like this before.
And
he's out of there. He's out of there.
He's been kicked out of the game. What did they find in his pocket?
Number 3. The Nancy Kerrigan attack. Nancy Kerrigan was a former figure skater who happened to be the best at what she does. A man had struck Nancy on the knee with a baton in an attempt to break her leg. Her rival Tonya Harding was banned for life because her husband was the man who orchestrated
I don't know, some hard black stick. Something really hard. Help me. We're gonna get you to the
Number 2. This coach decided to do something risky and trip one of the Miami Dolphin players in an attempt to make his own team win. The New York Jets assistant coach Sal Alosi was then suspended and fined up to $25,000 for his actions. Number 1. If you've made it this far, you might as well subscribe and turn on post notifications. You will have a greater chance of becoming rich in life. Here we have the sticky substance again used in sports. This Yankees pitcher Michael Pineda was caught using pine tar. Even some of his fans quickly noticed and pointed it out. He was immediately stopped in the middle of the game and was ejected.
Going to check Pineda. Remember, against the Red Sox, he had what looked like pine tar in his hand. Later said it was dirt. But Farrell is going out to check Pineda. Now they're checking his back. And they're throwing him out of the game. He went to his neck and he said there's something on his neck, so Pineda is being tossed. This time he does, and Pineda gets thrown out of the game.